I've just got a very general question, sort of whole of portfolio, about how the department across its various programs is addressing the health needs of the LGBTI community, whether particular focuses, particular programs, analysis to ensure that programs are meeting the health needs of the LGBTI community.
So sorry, Senator, you want to know how specifically we actually deal with those sorts of issues?
Either if there are specific initiatives or in particular programs, any analysis that's done to have a lens of various programs, how they are particularly addressing the needs and being appropriate for the requirements of the LGBTIQ community.
Look, I think there are a broad range of things that we do across a whole range of different groups, from disability to LGBTI to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders and so on. As an organisation, at one level, we've established a network in all of these areas where we get these groups together and we talk about a whole range of these things. And it's not only in the policy context, it's also in an organisational context, because you've got to actually deal with it in an organisational context to get your policy outcomes right. So that's where it starts.
So you've got an LGBTIQ-focused network across.
Yes, we have an LGBTI network, the Pride Network. They meet regularly. I meet with them regularly, as I do with Disability and Carers Network. It's actually Carers Week this week. And also the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Network. We've also got a group around multicultural, and we celebrate things like Harmony Day and so on and so forth. So there's all of those things are in place in an organisational sense. Mr Stewart might be able to give you a bit more detail on quite specific areas.
Senator, what we principally do is to examine our programs to ensure that we don't have discrimination in place against any particular population group. And over the last few years, we've been paying particular attention in the areas that I look after in the MBS and the PBS to ensure that there is not discrimination in those programs in relation to any person of any particular kind of status.
And how about anything beyond moving, just ensuring there's no discrimination, to actually, actively doing the analysis to ensure that the programs are tailored to meet the particular requirements and needs, such high risk of cancer through higher smoking rates, for example. There are higher mental health issues, to make sure that the programs are actually tailored to meet the needs of the LGBTIQ community.
The programs that I'm here specifically talking about, MBS and PBS, the framework for them is to make sure they're widely available to the whole population, rather than being specific programs for specific people. And so what we have been attending to there is to ensure there's not discrimination. And from time to time, when we receive correspondence about whether particular items should or shouldn't be available to LGBTI people, we examine those and we make sure that there is availability to those groups.
Okay.
And I think the important point is organisationally, how we deal with these broad issues brings a cultural aspect to how we deal with things more broadly in an organisational context. And we put a lot of focus and attention into these areas.
Have you got any examples of how, any findings or things that have come from your Pride Network has influenced program design or program approach?
Not specifically off the top of my head, but we did some work recently around Wear a Purple Day and try to understand the discrimination issues, not only in a health sense, but in a staffing sense, and what does that actually mean. So there's a whole range of those sorts of things. I can take on notice to have a look at quite specific other examples where it's changed.
I'm particularly interested in programs where there's a lot of money being spent, for example, on cancer screening or on other programs, preventative health programs, of ensuring that they are meeting the needs, particularly where you've got greater prevalence of disease in the LGBTI community as compared to the general community, as to how you're ensuring that those programs are appropriately designed and targeted.
Yeah, and look, bloodborne diseases will be one of those quite specifically. So we do a lot of work in that space and across the board, but particularly with LGBTI communities in mind, that's been an ongoing issue for many years now
Okay, yes.
about how we actually operate in that specific space.
Exactly. I mean, that's an obvious one, but
Yeah.
there are the whole broad range of programs.
Yeah, there are.
That's
There
right. Okay.